Hello everyone, it's me back again with another report after a week of not so hard but definitely fair work. So today's week 3, leap 5, and as you might remember, um, the last week I've set basically the goal of building the search box Google style application for the local markdown files. And the previous 2 weeks were really about shaping things up and basically betting on them. And today is the first week when I've started to really tinker with the project, and I have I don't have any tangible results yet, but I definitely have something to tell about. And today's video will actually be about the scopes I've discovered, the problems and unknowns I've discovered, and also my closing thoughts on this week. I will try to use the shape up methodology vocabulary. So basically, I'll use terms like scope, upwards, downwards, etc., etc. I will try to explain these words along the way, but if you want to understand, I'm sorry, I'll definitely try. Okay, let's start with the scopes I found. And basically, after I've closed my previous monkey block, I've decided to dive straight into the project. I've discovered some like different and difficult problems regarding my tech stack. And the first scope was to actually get all the things working together. Right now, I am stopped on the .NET minimal API backend and the plain JavaScript slash HTML slash CSS on the front end. Initially, like the previous week, I was thinking that I will learn Vue.js along the way, but as I've started to learn it, it really became very complicated really fast. So I decided to not learn too many things at once, and also decided to build some sort of framework for my basically 2 pages application in plain JavaScript. I know about the DOM API, about all these nice things there, so I think it won't be a problem not using framework. I actually think the other way around, the less amount of the lesser you use frameworks, the better is for you as you learning things. Because actually, when I was tinkering with infrastructure, I found some pretty hard problems even to reason about. They're not just some lead code hard problems or anything like that. It's actually when you try to build something from the ground up, you create an empty project. For example, what I've did with minimal API, I've created an empty project, and I've just started to think, how can I turn it into something working, into actual web server serving static files, serving API requests and all these nice things. And the problem here is that you can't actually Google it, so you don't know how to tell, for example, how should you don't know the expected result. So I was using ASP.NET Core framework on my day job, and actually I was building my previous application using the Blazor WebAssembly framework, and the things there are quite easy, of course, because you're using these high-level abstractions and you don't really get into the details. So you don't know, for example, how the actual routing works, or how works serving files and all these nice things. You've just smash some high-level components together and hope it will work. And what I found out during this building week is that it's not that complicated, of course, but when you are doing it for the first time, there might be some confusion. For example, for lots of hours, I could not understand how to link two projects together. So how to actually like make the front-end application alongside back-end application and configure MS build to run tasks in parallel. Especially, I haven't really tinkered with MS build. It was quite challenging, so I even decided not to do this at this phase of the project. And also, I was really surprised how the like serving static files worked, because when you're trying to, like, for example, when you're building a Blazor application or an ASP.NET Core application, MVC, all these things are kind of pre-configured for you. So you just like drop an URL call and the file goes, basically. And with minimal API, there's even no such thing as serving an HTML file. So at first I was very confused about how I actually should do this. There is no guidance or documentation about it, it's not like that. It's that you, when you try to ask how to serve static files, it gives you this big article from Microsoft documentation website, and you have to really read through this to understand what they're doing there. And eventually, after reading it for like 1 or 2 hours, I've also understood how it works, but it was kind of surprising experience for me. I didn't anticipate that even serving the basic HTML file is not that complicated, but there are a lot of details you have to consider. For example, in my first like HTML file, it was serving like okay, but then I decided to use modules, so the JavaScript modules, and things gotten worse pretty quickly, because now you have to use the routing. So you have to, like, when you importing this script inside another script, you not only have to mark them as type module, you also have to basically make your web server serving not the specific meme type content. So for this, it was application JavaScript or text JavaScript. I kind of forgotten, but it sure definitely not the text/HTML type of thing. And when you're trying to tackle these problems, it it was quite confusing. And in the end, I even implemented. I've of course figured out how to do this. So right now I have basically an minimal API backend, which uses static router, static files. I have configured 2 endpoints, which like each of them respond with either HTML or JavaScript. I don't use any Razor template language, plain HTML and plain JavaScript files to really understand how it all works under the hood. So yeah. Finally, on the infrastructure scope, which I'm talking about right now, I stopped at the moment when I started to think about how should the routing be implemented, because in ASP.NET minimal APIs use static files method just brings the specified directory to the browser, and you can like query it, and that's it. There's no like routing or like pattern matching in the URL. So definitely thing to consider when I will try to implement the final application. So from the infrastructure scope, I have this ongoing problem. It's pretty much downhill right now, infrastructure, and yeah, basically I pretty much finished it, excluding the fact that I have to understand how the routing works, or maybe even implement my own router. So yeah, this thing. So like 2/3 of infrastructure is actually on the downhill side of things, and one problem which could easily appear like a black hole, or you not the black hole, but let me think the word rabbit hole. Yeah, of course. So yeah, now let's move to the elements. And while I was building these first HTML pages, I've basically found how the thing I want to implement is called. It's called combo box, and actually in HTML standard there is a tag called data list, and I will try to like use this tag in order to build my combo box. So about the combo box element, is definitely on the uphill side of things because I still only created an index page and there is no styling about it, no like dynamically fetching data, no all this, nothing from this basically, and I still have things to implement there. And the things I haven't even touched yet are the markdown preview element. So this is the second page of my application when you will click on the suggestions from the combo box, and it should, in theory, redirect you to the to another element. So to another page with markdown preview, like editor element. I call it element, so it's just a markdown preview window. And also I've considered adding TypeScript to my project, but right now the overhead costs are too much. So I decided to implement it maybe someone in the end. That's all about the scopes. I'll try to insert the picture here with the uphill slash downhill position of the scopes I've named, which are infrastructure, combo box element, markdown preview element, and yeah, that's it. And now I would like to move to closing thoughts. And my first closing thought is that I think I do not allocate enough time for this pet project. I don't think that I'm doing something wrong because basically the other things I'm doing, so the NixOS things or the lead code problems I'm solving daily, I solve them or do them or watch content about them just like 50 minutes a day, and that's it. And that's how the time like stores or piles up in these buckets of activity. So I definitely have more time on the lead code project than on this. But I think that it's all about the organization of your time. I basically, right now, I'm trying to develop a habit of like 15 minutes before I'm doing my work. Every work session, I try to go to lead code and solve one problem, maybe easy or maybe medium. And basically after 15 minutes, I just drop it and go working. But yeah, that's how I've got time in the lead code category. However, I still think that my concern about not pouring too much time into this bet should be addressed, because bet supposes that you respect it and show dedication for achieving it. And I definitely like this feeling for now. But anyway, I think about it even more. I'll think about it in the next week. I don't think that anything will change. So yeah, concern that should be addressed, but I don't know how I can do this. Another important thing is that I've kind of overestimated my skills in building something from zero. I've already talked about it in the previous points when I was discussing scopes, but I'll repeat here that when you're building something from zero, intentionally not trying to use any frameworks, and you try to implement all these fancy things by yourself, it's completely different experience that I've kind of underestimated in how much time it will take and how much courage you'll need to tackle the problems that arise there. And finally, the last point is that I found myself on one of working sessions, I found myself that I've spent too much time configuring the project. But for now, I'm kind of thinking about it, and at the end, I've configured the project, and I've definitely learned something about like how you should do this combination of plain HTML uh, statically served type of web server on the minimal API backend. So yeah, now that's basically it. It's already 15 minutes. I don't want it to be a very long video. Now I'll record some gameplay and draw the scopes on the diagram. So anyway, thanks for watching. On the next week, I'll try to finish the combo box element for now, because I now understand how the routing should work and all this type of things. So I'll try to move combo box element further. So that's it. Thanks for listening/watching. I wish you a great week and boo boo.